Let's get it! 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Victory Monday. It may not have looked like we were going to have one of those with about 14 minutes to play at Arrowhead yesterday afternoon, but the Kansas City Chiefs pulled it out, showed their mettle, and saved their season. And let's be frank, they saved the weekend because there wasn't much else to enjoy if you were a local sports fan from the weekend. K-State lost a heartbreaker. KU laid an egg in Ames. K-State basketball lost the Hall of Fame Classic Championship game. Maybe wasn't much for you to smile about until Harrison Butker's game-winning field goal went through the uprights in overtime yesterday afternoon. But smile about it you did, and talk about it we will on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. We are with you for the next 3 hours here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube stream. 580 Sports Talk, the name of the channel. Go subscribe. And on Facebook, WIBW News. Go like the page if you have not already. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuy will be on in a bit. Brendan Dworzinski is off today. They'll have you tomorrow. This is my Friday. This is my last show of the week. I am out the rest of the week doing a little Thanksgiving traveling. So this is my last show before Thanksgiving, and I am thankful to get to spend these next 3 hours with you folks here on 580 Sports Talk. Lots to cover. The Chiefs win. The Chiefs save their season. The Chiefs still have all the same problems that they entered yesterday with. But two major solutions, two reasons to believe that they can make those problems in the end not matter as they continue to pursue a postseason bid. We will recap everything from that 23-20 victory over the Indianapolis Colts at Arrowhead yesterday afternoon, the good, the bad, and what to look for moving forward from the Chiefs. Plenty of NFL talk from the action in Week 12. It was kind of a dud of an NFL weekend. Not a lot of real good games. A lot of one-sided games. A lot of blowouts. A lot of games that weren't really close. A lot of games you had some backdoor covers in some games. If I may speak in gambling terms, a lot of late scores making games look closer than they actually were. Sunday night was a dud. Philadelphia Dallas pretty entertaining. Two things you can take away from the weekend, aside from what happened at Arrowhead. Two things I think you can feel pretty good about taking away from the weekend. Number one, the Eagles are a mess. They're a clown show right now. And number two, the Rams are the best team in the NFL. Kind of feels like it's them right now, the Los Angeles Rams. So we'll talk plenty more about that. We'll cover all of our NFL bases with our guest today, our NFL insider, Matt Verderame, will join us at the bottom of this 3 o'clock hour, as he always does on Monday, following a week of NFL action. We'll get Matt's perspective on the Chiefs win and everything else from the NFL weekend. We're going to talk some college football as well. K-State. Man, if you were a neutral, I don't know that there was a more enjoyable college football game on Saturday than K-State Utah. If you did not care who won, you probably enjoyed the hell out of that football game. If you were a K-State fan, that was a punch to the midsection. Stadium and program records for rushing yards fell, but in the end, so did Kansas State. They had a 12-point lead with 6 minutes left, and they could not hold on to it. And two major talking points coming out of that one. Number one, I'm going to do my best to polish up my Mark Mangino impression for what I thought of the officiating in that game, why I thought that game might have been officiated in the fashion that it was. Dollar signs. That was an abysmal whistle that Kansas State got, and it did impact the game, and it did alter the game. And I do not say that lightly. You guys know this. You come to this show every day, or as often as you're able to come to it. You know I don't sit behind this microphone and say, officiating decisions altered the conclusion of a game. K-State got robbed, highway robbery on Saturday in Salt Lake City. On the other hand, don't give up 59 yards on a 4th and 1, right? But still, we can talk about the officiating, and we'll have to talk about Chris Klieman's post-game press conference in which he broke down and had to be consoled by his athletic director, Gene Taylor. I have seen some pretty polarized response to that. I want to talk about where that might have come from, because that is not just I'm bummed that we're losing and some people are being mean on the internet. It feels like there's more to maybe what's gone on that we don't see, that we don't know, that we don't hear about with this Kansas State program this season. And clearly it has taken a toll on the program's leader. So we'll talk about that game because I'll tell you what, there was absolutely nothing to be ashamed of from the Kansas State perspective. The performance, the coaching, the toughness, the effort, everything you want to see from your team on a Saturday, except for the finish. And the officials played a role in that. Unfortunate, but it's true. The officials played a role in that. So we'll get into that. We'll talk about KU. KU is a football program at a crossroads. They've got to figure out what their identity is going to be moving forward, because the identity that they have worn under Lance Leipold to this point has outlived its purpose. It is no longer good enough to just be better than we used to be at Kansas. And they are staring down no bowl eligibility, though. I don't know. If K-State could run for 1 billion yards against Utah, why couldn't KU line it up and try to run it like that on Black Friday at the booth to try and salvage bowl eligibility? We'll get into that. We'll get into that K-State basketball loss to Nebraska. Really fun basketball game. Again, if you were neutral, you probably loved it. If you were a K-State fan, you certainly hated how it ended. But we'll get into some of that. And by the time we get around to all that, KU will be done playing today. The Jayhawks are in action right now as we speak at the Players Era in Las Vegas. They are playing Notre Dame, currently up by 10 with 6 minutes to play in the first half. So a good start for the Darren Peterson-less Jayhawks in Vegas today. We'll get into that later on in the show. Plus, our typical Monday shenanigans on the program. We'll do What Is Wrong With You. We got headlines. We'll do the good, bad, ugly from the weekend that was. All that fun stuff coming up in a little while here on 580 Sports Talk. Want to hear from you throughout the show today. Your voices make this show better, so you are invited and encouraged to contribute. Text the program today, 785-272-9429. That's the number. I don't know where that one came from. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. You can also hop in the live chat if you're watching live on our YouTube stream. Again, the name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything but a click. And as you're watching the show live, jump in the chat, say hello, interact with your fellow hosts, your fellow listeners, and your host as we go along on the show today. We say hello to Mark and Paul and Andrew and Vance all into the chat today, and I only know their names because they're regulars. We're still doing the weird thing on the back end where it's showing your usernames and not your screen names in the YouTube chat, which is a very odd thing. But if I could fix it, I would. But anyway, you guys are regulars. Appreciate you guys being in. Look forward to hearing from some more of you. I mean, come on, you're not really working. It's the Monday of Thanksgiving week. You're not working. Punch up YouTube on your computer at work right now. Be real. Put it on your phone. Join the video. Say hi in the YouTube chat. It's a fun way to spend 3 hours on a weekday here with us here on 580 Sports Talk. All right, let's get into it. Kansas City Chiefs 23, Indianapolis Colts 20 in overtime. And in that game, you saw every reason to believe that this is where this era of the Chiefs dynasty ends. Every reason to believe that this is the end of this particular era of Chiefs greatness. You saw a talent and playmaking deficit. You saw that the Chiefs just lack dudes in a way that they have not really lacked dudes even the last couple of years. You saw an offensive scheme that looks tired and stale and doesn't do a good job scheming guys open. And when they did, Patrick Mahomes really wasn't willing to throw the football until late in the game, which is its own other conversation. You saw a front four that can't get home unless it's Chris Jones getting home. And even though he did not have a sack yesterday, Chris Jones was awesome. He was the best defensive player on the field for either team. And if it wasn't him, it was Drew Tranquill. That was important. We'll talk plenty about the Chiefs' defensive effort because it does deserve a lot of credit. But pass rush doesn't get home. We know this. We know that the offense has seemed at times to feel outmoded. We know that this is not a team that has a bunch of star talent, not a lot of grade A talents on this roster. We saw an NFL team in the year of our Lord 2025 give 30 carries to Kareem Hunt and 5 more to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And I always feel bad dumping on Clyde because he seems like a great teammate and he's been through a lot. How in the hell is he playing in NFL games for a team that fancies itself a contender in 2025? How are we still doing this? All those reasons, every single one of them. And you can throw more on the pile, right? Like inability early in the game to get off the field on third down, some critical third down defensive blowups, penalties, wiping out a touchdown, though. Speaking of guys I feel bad for, Jawaan Taylor got hosed. That was, I have no idea where they saw a 15-yard penalty on Jawaan Taylor. I felt really good when Gene Steratore hopped on the mic on CBS and said, yeah, that's not really anything. I don't know what that's all about. Felt bad that it had to be Jawaan Taylor that it happened to because he's already and deservedly taken so much heat for his play and for his unfortunate knack for taking a bad penalty at a bad time. But all of that stuff, all of the flaws, all of the warts on full display for everyone to see. And when Kareem Hunt fumbled in the red zone, Kareem Hunt starting NFL games and getting 30 carries in an NFL game in 2025 for a team that fancies itself a Super Bowl contender, fumbles in the red zone, costs the Chiefs points in a game where they already need 2 scores just to tie. Don't lie to yourself and don't lie to me. It felt over, didn't it? It all felt over. I had that feeling watching the early exchanges in the game. When the Colts pulled ahead 14-3, they had that long pass, really well-designed third down play. They ran a little over for Ashton Doolin. It got wide open. Shamari Connor blew the coverage. Big gain. Colts scored. Nice pass to the tight end Ogletree in the back of the end zone. Trent McDuffie got beat. I didn't think it was a great McDuffie game, to be honest, until, again, late, which is the case for a lot of guys. It was 14-3, and CBS showed a shot of Travis Kelce sitting on the sideline, and Kelce had a 1,000-yard stare on his face. And I put a pin mentally in that because that looked like somebody who, if not resigned to his fate, understood that this is just kind of who the Chiefs are, that they're susceptible to this. They're susceptible to performances like this, and it might all be slipping away. Did it not feel over to you? And not just the game. When Kareem Hunt fumbled, a lot more than a game felt over. And then it's been written really, really well by Jesse Newell, especially at The Athletic. If you haven't read his game story today, you should go read it if you're a subscriber. Chris Jones got the crowd back into it. Chiefs forced a 3 and out. And from then on, I don't know that we've seen better football from the Kansas City Chiefs. From the Hunt fumble to the game-winning field goal by Butker. With backs firmly against the wall, the Chiefs came up with their best football of the season to win that game. And you saw in those moments, in that quarter and a half, roughly, you saw the 2 reasons it might not be over after all. All those flaws, all those warts that were on display, they are real and ultimately could be costly in the long haul for this team. But you saw the 2 things to hang your hope on for the rest of this season. Number 1, heart of a champion. It's real. And you don't just have it. You have to earn it. You earn being a champion. And once you've learned the lessons that come with raising that trophy at the end of a season, you don't lose those lessons. That's always there for you to dig down deep and access something that a mere mortal just doesn't have. A reserve, a gear, whatever you want to call it. You've got it when you're a champion. And these Chiefs dug deep into a well that I thought in the Denver game looked like it was pretty tapped out. That's reason 1. Reason number 2, where's number 15? He's still the best football player in the universe. Did he play particularly well for the full 60, what was it, 67, 60? I guess they got to the 2-minute warning of overtime. So yeah, about 68 minutes. Did he play well for the full 68? No, he didn't. He displayed some of the bad habits that he will occasionally display, even throughout some of the best years of what's been a brilliant career. dropping his eyes too early, going through his progressions too quickly, bailing the pocket too readily, not trusting the play, not trusting the pass catcher, not trusting the route. And the Chiefs offense looked kind of stuck. Looked like it didn't have many answers. And then in the fourth quarter, when there wasn't a choice, Patrick Mahomes let it rip. And when he let it rip, the offense came to life. A touchdown drive and a 2-point conversion to get within 2017. A inevitable march down the field for the game-tying score. Should have been a game-winning touchdown drive. I don't know how you don't score first and goal from the 2. Chiefs are not good in the red zone. And part of the reason they're not good in the red zone is because, again, you're a bit of a dude deficit. You don't have guys get open right away. And the one time they did have a guy get open right away in the red zone, Mahomes missed him. Bad throw to the back shoulder on the Rashee Rice fade. He had Sauce Gardner beat. Was that the third field goal drive or the second? They kind of ran together in that first half. But they got problems in the red zone. They do. But the drive between the 20s was a masterstroke. And Mahomes got him down the field, had to go all the way down the field to get there and tie the game at the end of regulation. And then the game-winning drive after another clutch defensive stop by a Chiefs defense that forced 4 3-and-outs on the final 4 possessions of the game. That's the heart of a champion, and that's the best football player in the world. And you're never out of it when you have those things. You're never done. That last clod of dirt has to go onto the coffin to make sure that the Chiefs are buried. And if you don't do it, they're going to find a way. They're going to find a way. They didn't forget. If you were worried, 0-5 in one-score games, I tried to tell you, this team did not forget how to execute, did not forget how to win a close game. And they finally won a close game. A game that, frankly, didn't need to be all that close. Chiefs botched a couple of goal line situations, red zone situations, should have had more points than they did. The phantom penalty on Jawan Taylor cost them 4 points. Bad interception thrown by Mahomes early in the game on an RPO. I'm begging you, Andy Reid, Matt Nagy, get rid of those damn RPOs. Teams know they're coming, and they don't respect the run threat because the Chiefs never run it out of that look. Just ditch the RPOs. Just get rid of them. Leave that stuff in the Big 12. Get rid of the RPO. You got too good a quarterback to have to mess around with that stuff. Leave that to the college quarterbacks. Leave that to the guys leave that to the true dual threats like a Jaden Daniels. Mahomes doesn't need that crutch. He's too good. Teams know they're coming, and they know the Chiefs don't run out of that look. And that allowed Latu to hold his ground and tip that ball for the interception that gifted the Colts 7 points. And then, of course, the Hunt fumble took points off the board, too. Once again, it's cost the Chiefs all year long in their close losses. The Mahomes interception, the Hunt fumble, it's a 10 to 14 point swing right there in a game, again, decided by 3 points. But as much time as we spend with the tangible, as much time as we spend with the numbers, the data, all of which have suggested that this Chiefs team is still one of the best in the league, despite their now 6-5 record. Sunday was about the intangible for the Chiefs. Sunday was about digging deep. Sunday was about finding an extra gear, finding a little bit more than a team still discovering. This Colts team, 8-3, having a great year. Shane Steichen having a great year, but still discovering how great they really are, or if they're great at all. Still finding that out, still in that process. The Chiefs know they're champions. These guys are always going to be champions. Doesn't matter. They could lose the rest of their games this year. They're still champions. Maybe not this season. But those guys know what it takes. And until you've done it, you don't have that ability to go back and get what you need again and again and again. And they're going to have to dig deep the rest of the season. Games are going to look like that for the Chiefs because they just have too many deficiencies. When they play a team who plays well, if they do not play a clean football game, they're going to have to win more games that look like that. They're going to have to dig deep in a way they're not used to digging deep until the playoffs come around. That may take too much of a toll. But on Sunday, it was good enough to save a season. We'll get your reaction Text line is open, 785-272-9429. Want to hear from you on the YouTube chat as well, your thoughts on the game. Hey, if you were there, let us know what the crowd was like in that fourth quarter and overtime. Love to hear from anybody who was at the game yesterday. 785-272-9429, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. We'll get to some of your reaction, some more thoughts about that game. Matt Verderame is going to join us in about 10 minutes or so, our NFL insider. We're big on football on this Victory Monday. Thanks so much for joining us. We're just getting rolling here on 580 Sports Talk. $3:29, we're just getting rolling on this edition of 580 Sports Talk with you until 6 tonight. Then what should be a raucous Chiefs Kingdom show with Mitch Holtz as follows. Then we'll have Monday Night Football for you from Westwood One as the Panthers and 49ers play a game of American football tonight. Coverage of that starting at 7 o'clock. We'll join the coverage in progress. You won't miss kickoff here on 580 WIBW. Couple of thoughts from the YouTube comments. I'm glad Andrew pointed this out because I did think this was something that stood out to me watching the game yesterday. After Kareem Hunt's fumble, Kelsey embracing Hunt, then him coming down, putting an exclamation on his touchdown when he jumped over the entire line was something else. Look, it might not be ideal to have your lead back in some really important games in 2025 be Kareem Hunt, who is a very nice short yardage back and shouldn't really be asked to be doing a whole lot else for an NFL team at this stage in his career. That's true. That doesn't speak highly of the work that has been done in constructing this roster. It is a absolutely fair and justified criticism of the brain trust for the Chiefs. that they let the running back room get to a point where Kareem Hunt, Clyde Edwards-Helaire were your guys in a game in 2025. That's fair. But Kareem Hunt, what an effort. I mean, that is the kind of effort that inspires an entire locker room, because he wasn't 100%. He was beat up. You could see how long it took him to get himself up off the field. 30 carries is a ton. That's a lot. That's a big ask. You don't see guys get to 30 carries in NFL games anymore. Kareem Hunt carried the ball 30 times. You talk about a guy leaving it all out on the field, and he deserves credit for that. Aside from the utility of Kareem Hunt being your feature back. Kareem Hunt says, if I'm going to be the feature back, I'm going to feature back the hell out of this game. I'm going to give it my everything. And he did. He absolutely did. But the point about Kelce after the fumble going over to Hunt and embracing him, that I felt like was noteworthy, because that to me felt like Kelce saying, we are not going to let you be the reason we lose this game. We're going to have your back. It just felt like a switch flipped in that moment. A switch flipped for the defense, a switch flipped in the stadium, a switch flipped on the sideline. And again, that's what being a champion is. Being able to summon that. Being able to say, not today, and then be right about it. Championship toughness. That's what these Chiefs have. But a great point there. Also, in the YouTube comments, Vance did not like the offensive pass interference call against Travis Kelce that wiped out a good drive starting play to Kareem Hunt on what ended up being the game-tying drive. Yeah, I thought that was a largely poorly officiated game. Tony Romo said that was the worst call he'd ever seen, which I thought that was a little extreme. I mean, you do an NFL game every week. These guys aren't always the best at their jobs. Wasn't a great crew. Wasn't a noteworthy official doing the game yesterday. So I thought that the Chiefs got a raw whistle a little bit on a couple of occasions. Of course, that didn't stop Colts fans from spending the entire day today complaining about how the NFL is rigged because they lost to the Colts or they lost to the Chiefs. Now, it can't be because your quarterback is buns. It can't be that, right? It can't be because the Chiefs dare Daniel Jones to beat you, and Daniel Jones is still Daniel Jones. Now, it can't be that. It has to be a referee screw job every time you lose, right? Where do we learn that? Like, why is that the way? Because when you say it over and over again, and then you actually are the victims of a bad call, because it happens to everybody, because the officials are human and they make mistakes. Like I said earlier, top of the show, I think K-State got hosed dramatically, like in a game-changing way, by the officials in their game against Utah on Saturday. And I jokingly invoked the Mark Mangino dollar signs rant. But like, I don't come on here every week and say that's the reason K-State or KU or the Chiefs or whoever, that's the reason they lost. So when I say it means something, or it ought to, or I hope it does, you can't say every time you lose a game it was the ref's fault. What is wrong with your brain if that is how your brain works? Just, I don't understand it. Andrew also had this question. We may as well get to this while we have a quick second here before Matt Verderame joins us. Andrew asked how many days we're working this week. I'm working one. I'm out of here after today. We'll have a show tomorrow. Brendan and Spencer have you tomorrow. We'll take the day off Wednesday. Obviously, Thursday and Friday, you got Chiefs football. You got some other games going on. So we are off Thursday and Friday as well. So we got 2 days of 580 Sports Talk. Instead of 580 Sports Talk on Thursday, you're going to hear the Chiefs. Instead of 580 Sports Talk on Friday, you're going to hear state championship football. Class 1A state championship game, Rossville and Sterling, right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. We'll have pregame coverage following K-State women's basketball. They play North Carolina that morning at 10 a.m. So following the network broadcast of Kansas State women's basketball on Friday, we'll go out to Gowan Stadium in Hutchinson. Brendan Dworzynski will have the call as the Rossville Bulldogs go for one for the other thumb, trying to get their 6th state championship in program history. They will have to go through an undefeated Sterling Black Bears squad to get it. 1 o'clock kickoff from Hutchinson on Friday. We will have state championship coverage on Friday here on 580 WIBW. So 2 days of show, lots of games, lots of fun coming up throughout the week here on 580 WIBW. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back with Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, next on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Matt Verderame, our NFL insider here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt covers the league for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Also, that football show, the KC Sports Network, and his own subscriber-only Patreon, the Matt Verderame Show. Matt, the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Indianapolis Colts in overtime on Sunday. What changed in the fourth quarter tangibly? Because it was obviously an intangible shift. You can talk about, and I have, the heart of a champion and all of those things. We saw that on display from the Chiefs. But what was the tangible difference on those final defensive and offensive drives for the Chiefs that allowed them to put together the comeback to keep their season alive?
I mean, I think defensively, they basically just said to clean it up, screw it. We're going to bring pressure. pretty much every play. And we're going to force Daniel Jones to beat us. And he couldn't. I think that was the main takeaway I had defensively tonight. At the end of the game, they finally got to a point where they just said, we are just coming after him. And if he can beat us, they win. He couldn't. Offensively, I think it was a little bit more nuanced. Look, they had Rice beat a few man coverage looks. They had a couple of explosive plays, a couple to Rice, one to Worthy. Listen, you get those plays, it changes things. And the other part of it, too, was, quite frankly, they had moved the ball in the game, but they were a mess in the red zone. They had 2 killer turnovers. In the fourth quarter of that game, they didn't beat themselves. They weren't perfect. They still had a few penalties. They still bogged down in the red zone, but they came through when they needed to. And I do think a lot of what happened in the fourth quarter of that game was about things that are not X's and O's. I think a lot of that fourth quarter and overtime came down to a team that has been great for a long time, basically saying we're not ready to go home yet. And that played out in incredible fashion in the fourth quarter and well into overtime.
Mahomes was brilliant down the stretch, led the 2 scoring drives in regulation, led the overtime winning drive as well. I didn't think it was his best game by any means leading up to that point, as he seemed, as he has at times throughout his career. This is not a brand new thing, but there are times when he gets a little hesitant or too quick to bail the pocket. Was it simply a matter on that final drive of not having any other recourse but to throw the ball down the field and make things happen? And is that the kind of thing that's replicable for Mahomes down the stretch?
I think, honestly, desperation is a funny thing sometimes. They got desperate. I know, look, I know it's my job to sit here and really, break down the ins and the outs. Guys, I really think it just came down to, they looked up at the clock and looked at the score and said, if we don't win this game, we go, that's it. We have to win. And I think there's a little, when you have that, there's a little devil may care to it, where it's just, look, I'm going to make this throw because I have to. And I can't live for the next possession. I can't live for next Sunday. I have to throw this ball. And if it's a tight window, it's a tight window. And if and you saw that even with the way he ran at the end of the game, where it was, look, if I've got to run some guy over, I'm going to do it. There is a certain desperation that, quite honestly, I think a lot of us thought they'd play within Denver. They might even play within Buffalo. But they didn't show that. They didn't look that way. Even in that game against the Broncos when it was tight, they never felt like that. You never watched that game and went, they look like a team that is dying to win. In the fourth quarter of that game, they really looked like a team that was ready to just die on that field to win the game. And that sometimes you need that. Now, can they carry it forward? That's the question. Because you got a short week, a road game, national TV, against a team that also, by the way, is playing with a lot of emotion and a lot of feeling for many reasons, some tragic, some football related. But they are, this is, the Chiefs have to now maintain that, which is not easy, but it's necessary.
They go into that Dallas game. That's who they've got on Thanksgiving, and it is a road game, and they're going to be shorthanded. We already know they won't have Trey Smith. He's got a couple of ankle sprains. Multiple ankle sprains he's dealing with, which does not sound like a picnic. It looked like Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice were a little bit hobbled, playing through it, but a little bit hobbled on Sunday. It's going to be a tough turnaround to get them 100% for sure, even though there's no reason to right now expect that they wouldn't play. What are the Chiefs going to have to do? Because that is a pretty permissive defense at times, but it's also really good up front and has a chance to make life difficult on the Chiefs if the Chiefs don't bring it. What's going to be the most important factor for the Chiefs in that matchup against the Cowboys?
I think a lot of it's going to be, look, if Caliendo's in there, which also you will be, they're going to have to help. Okay, one thing about the Cowboys, they have 3 very good D tackles. Kenny Clark's not quite what he used to be, but he's still a good player. Quinn Williams is a great player, and Digio Azua is a better player than a lot of people know. He's a very good D tackle. They don't have a great edge rush. They traded away to the Packers. So, look, that's a defense that if you can block inside, you can torch them. One thing I will say in this game, the matchup heavily favors Kansas City. This is, as long as they can hold up inside without Smith, the Cowboys play pure zone defense. That's all they do. Literally more than anything in the NFL, they play 95% zone defense. The Chiefs annihilate zone defense. The last time they saw Matt Eberflus was the Taylor Swift game against the Bears years ago, and they scored 41 points in 2.5 quarters. So, this is like prime real estate for the Chiefs offense. But that being said, listen, they're going to have to handle it up front. They're probably going to have to slide to help Caliendo a little bit. That's fine. Going to put the other guys on an island, but again, they should be able to handle that. And defensively, it's really going to come down to, look, Lamb and it's Pickens. Now, the plus side is they don't throw the ball to their backs very often. And the tight end, Ferguson, has like 65 catches. He barely has over 400 yards. Every throw to him is like 5 yards. So if you're the Chiefs, you come up with a plan to limit Lamb and Pickens. If you can do that, which is not easy, but if you can do it, then I think you're in pretty good shape.
Matt Verderame is our NFL insider here on 580 Sports Talk. Joins us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline every Monday at this time. Speaking of the Cowboys, they came back from 21 down to beat the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday afternoon.
Yep.
And you talked about that the Cowboys are playing inspired football the last couple of weeks. What is going on with the Philadelphia Eagles? Like they need to shrink, it feels like. They need to have their head examined as a football team, because at their best, they look like they could just crush anybody. They look like they were going to go through the Cowboys like water. They scored on their first 2 drives and they didn't do anything the rest of the game. So what is going on there? What is the easiest explanation for the confusing and confounding Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah, look, I'm not taking anything away from the Cowboys, because to come back from 21-0 is a feat. Watching that game was far more about Philadelphia than it was about that. I mean, that game, you're 21-0, you're killing them. I mean, the Cowboys couldn't do anything in that game. Nothing. And quite honestly, did nothing offensively for most of the game. I mean, really didn't. And then all of a sudden, the dam broke. The Eagles have a turnover. Then they muff a punt. They miss a field goal. There's multiple drives where it basically looked like the Eagles are just trying to sit on the ball. Now, I don't know necessarily that's what they were trying to do, but that's what it looked like. They looked like a team that basically said, hey, it'd be great if we can just run the clock out and get out of here. And when you're doing that in the third quarter, you got a problem. I don't care who you're playing. And so, eventually, Cowboys scored some points. They got some advantageous field position a few times. And the Eagles, for all their offensive firepower, the first 3 drives, they're up 21-0. They looked like a team that didn't know what to do. I think, Kevin Patullo, their offensive coordinator, has been under fire in Philadelphia all year long. And quite frankly, rightfully so. I mean, here's a team with Barkley last year who every time he touched the ball, felt like he was a threat to score. He's averaging 3.6 yards a carry. Can't do anything. And the question I had with yesterday, you're 21-0 and Saquon Barkley had 10 carries in that game? How? How do you have 10 carries in that football game? How does he not have 25 or 30 carries in that game? Like, your answer to being up 21-0 is to never give that guy the football? It was a very bizarre game. The Eagles have been very bizarre all year. The defense has played better. I thought even yesterday played pretty well. They were left out to dry by the rest of the team. But they've got real questions. Look, they'll win the division. They'll be in the playoffs. They'll be a factor. But if they don't get this offense straightened out, they're not repeating. They'll go home.
Sunday Night Football was a beatdown. The Rams just leveled the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield got hurt. Buccaneers are obviously trending in a very wrong direction. But is it overreacting based on that performance and what we've seen recently from the Rams to call the Rams the best team in the NFC or maybe even the NFL?
Oh, right now they are the best team in the NFL. Now, we got a third of the season left. And I give Sean McVay credit. He even said that after the game. Like, nobody remembers who's in first place after week 12. And he's right. But Stafford is clearly the MVP of the league right now. And they are clearly the best team. Now, that all being said, I would call it like a soft best team, because this year has been so weird and so wonky. And as much as, I picked the Rams to go to the Super Bowl. So I've been on the Rams June. I mean, I've been very high on them. That being said, if they were the 2 seed and they hosted the Lions in the wild card round, would you be shocked if the Lions beat them? Yeah, no. It's right. So it's one of these years where, it's not like some of these years with Kansas City in the AFC. You look at them and just go, nobody's beating that team. Or Philadelphia a couple of times. You just looked at Philly and went, nobody's beating that team. Or even the Niners a few times. You looked at them and said, okay, it would take a miracle for them to lose. The Rams, for all their talent, for as good as they've been, you wouldn't be shocked if they lost to somebody in the first round of the playoffs. You'd just be like, yeah, okay, I could see it happening, because the league is so weird this year. And that's kind of where I'm at. Do I think they're the best team? Yes. Do I think they're an overwhelming favorite? No, I don't. I think they're a very good team that is in a mix of a dozen teams that could all either win a Super Bowl or lose in the first round of the playoffs.
few more questions for Matt Verderame, our NFL insider here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated SI.com. On a scale of 1 to 10, I couldn't come up with anything clever on the spot. How done is Kevin O'Connell with J.J. McCarthy at quarterback?
I mean, publicly, they're gonna toe the line, right? But privately, this has been a shock for them. I can tell you firsthand. I go up to Minnesota every year for camp. I've been up there multiple times. I've done stories up there. I spent time with them last year at the end of the season. They privately, truly believe this kid's going to be really, really good. Like they felt that strongly during camp last year. Then even when I went back there, and I was there during Week 18 actually, when they were getting ready to play the Lions, there was a thought in the building, hey, look, this kid, like Darnold's been awesome, but we're going to let him go because he's got McCarthy, and McCarthy's great. I mean, they're stunned at how bad he's been. And so now that opens up more questions like, okay, well, how are you stunned? You've seen him this whole time. Like, where was your evaluation going wrong? But, excuse me, there's no way around him. He is awful. He does not look like he belongs in the NFL. And so I understand he's got a handful of starts, but at some point, I don't care how small his sample size, I mean, you got to do something. You got to do anything. He does not look capable of doing it. And the other thing that would scare me now, too, is like torn meniscus out for the whole year. 2 weeks in, high ankle sprain, he's out for 2 months. Now he comes back. He's in concussion protocol. Like, you got to play football. I mean, I know it's not his fault, but like you got to be on the field. And he's never on the field. And I just wonder too, like in that building, what are the conversations like with Justin Jefferson, with Jordan Addis, guys who are like, look, man, I mean, I've got a finite career here. I'm not watching this guy do this for the next 3 years. So they are going to have some real questions on their hands at the end of the season.
All right, last one, Matt. We got about 30 seconds here, and I'd like to drive our clicks and our hit count up on this show and all of its podcast and video forms. So let's talk about Shedeur Sanders. What'd you think about his first start?
It was fine. I mean, look, he made a couple of nice throws down the field. I mean, there was a lot of yards after catch in that game. And the Raiders, my God, the Raiders should fire everybody involved. But he played well. If you're Shedeur Sanders, you walk out of that game, you feel good about yourself. You get a start against the Niners next week. Obviously, that's going to be a little bit tougher, but he played well. He played in a way that certainly merits another start, and I really think he should start the rest of the year and see what you have in him.
I don't understand why Pete Carroll wants to keep doing this. I mean, go play golf, man. Like, go win forever at golf, right? Like,
do anything else.
Anything.
You're 74 years old. And you're looking at that team. I'm not saying it's be funny. I mean, seriously, by the time that team's ready to win, it's going to be, what, 80?
Buy a yacht.
Awful.
Just get a hobby.
They're
My
not
gosh.
even close.
No, they are the train wreck of train wrecks, which is saying something in the NFL this season. Matt Verderame covers the league for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. He's on That Football Show on the KC Sports Network. He's got his subscriber-only Patreon, The Matt Verderame Show, and you can catch him every Monday on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline here with us on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, have a happy Thanksgiving, my friend. We'll talk again next week.
You too. Take care.
That is Matt Verderame. We'll take a time out. When we come back, the good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend that was on 580 Sports Talk. To the good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend that was. A lot of good. Let's give a shout under good to Hayden and Rossville football. They're both practicing Thanksgiving week. You know what that means. They're playing for state championships. Congrats to both programs who are very used to playing on Thanksgiving week. Hayden going to the 3A title game after a win over Santa Fe Trail. Rossville holding off Jackson Heights in the mud in Holton on Friday to make the 1A final. We'll have that game Friday afternoon. 12:30 pregame, 1 o'clock kick. Rossville and undefeated Sterling right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. So that was good. Washburn women's basketball going 2-0 this weekend was good. Washburn men's basketball, a win over Billy Jewell on Saturday. That was good. That 3rd and 7 throw from Patrick Mahomes to Xavier Worthy, that was really good. That was awesome. That was the kind of big-time play the Chiefs always used to seem to come up with and haven't really come up with this year in the close game. When they came up with that play, it kind of felt like everything was going to be all right for the Chiefs. And indeed it was, as they won the game over the Colts yesterday. My bad for the weekend. See that fake field goal UCLA tried to run against Washington? They tried to do the toss it over the holder's head to the kicker. It never got near the kicker. Washington returned the loose ball for a touchdown. Disaster. Ugly. Eastern New Mexico University hired Art Briles as its head football coach, proving that Eastern New Mexico University does not care about the safety of women on its campus. Flat out, period. It took Art Briles 2 years to do anything about a rash of sexual assaults being committed by his players at Baylor. They don't care about the safety of women on the campus at Eastern New Mexico University. They rather try to win a few football games. Disgraceful by that university. We've got some college sports, including K-State football, to talk about next hour. 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on this Monday afternoon. Thanks so much for being with us. Hope you're staying dry and safe on this overcast and rainy Monday in the capital city. My name is Dan Lucero. This is 580 Sports Talk on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel and like the Facebook page if you have not already. Still to come on the program, we're going to talk about the Chiefs and the inspiration they drew from their home crowd. Every now and again, you get, I remember, this is a completely different sport, a completely different level of the sport. But I remember, what year would this have been? This would have been 2018-19, I think, where KU basketball beat Stanford at home. LeGerald Vick, before he was dismissed from the team later that year, had a monster game, an unbelievable game for Vick. And they had a rally, and they won in overtime, and Vick hit some big, big shots. And after the game, Bill Self called it a building win. He said this was an Allen Fieldhouse win. It's the kind of game where you need the home field or the home court advantage to be kind of the, if you'll excuse the corniness of this particular term, the wind beneath your wings. You need that sometimes. And the great home field and home court advantages in sports will give that to you when you need it. And Arrowhead Stadium gave that to the Chiefs when they needed it yesterday. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about that defensive performance. We'll talk about Chris Jones. Again, no sacks on Sunday. You pick up the box score and you look at it and say, no sacks. What are we paying all this money for 2 sacks? Chris Jones was worth every penny of his game check yesterday, especially down the stretch. And he was not the only defensive hero for a Chiefs defense that honestly had not come up big in those moments in the way that we saw them come up big against the Colts yesterday. So we're going to give a call to that defense for sure. We're going to talk plenty more Chiefs football, NFL football as we go along on the program today. We're going to talk some college sports. 7 minutes to go in Vegas. KU up 6, 57-51 over Notre Dame at the Players Era tournament. Game's on TV right now, TNT. So if you want to, turn on your TV, put that on mute and keep listening to the show. We'll do our best to keep you up to date on what is going on out there in Vegas. We got What Is Wrong With You coming up later this hour as well. Going to crown a weekly champion on this Monday. And then tomorrow is our last show of the week and our last show of the month. And Brendan and Spencer are going to sift through the What Is Wrong With You champions for the month and pick our monthly champ, our 11th entrant into the Tournament of Failed Champions, our November What Is Wrong With You winner. We'll pick it tomorrow on the show. Plus, your interaction with the program today. Want to hear from you in the live chat on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk. While the show's live, the chat's live. Hop in, say hello, interact amongst yourselves, grow that 580 Sports Talk community, and interact with your hosts as we go along. You can also text the program. Text line is open, and number is 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. But we begin this hour with one of the best college football games I've watched all season. Utah 51, Kansas State 47 at Rice-Eccles Stadium in Salt Lake City. Phenomenal college football game. And Kansas State had a 12-point lead. They went for 2 with about 6 minutes to go, try and make it 14. It's the right thing to do. The right thing, with as automatic as the extra point is in college football, going for 2 to make it a 14-point lead is the absolute right decision. Wouldn't change a thing about that decision that the K-State coaching staff made. And it looked like there was contact on the quick slant to Lincoln Cure, popped into the arms of a Utah defender who ran it all the way back for the old pick 2. Except there was a flag thrown immediately following the deflection and contact on Lincoln Cure. And then the referees picked up the flag. Why? I don't know. If anybody knows, can you tell me? I still want to know. Still want to know why the official looking right at the play from behind could throw the flag and then, I don't know, be argued out of it. Is this a rule of cool scenario? If you return it for a pick 2, then there's no flag. You have to just let it stand. It was far from the only curious call in the game. There was also a holding penalty on Cure down the field that negated what would have been a 70-plus yard touchdown run by Antonio Martin that Brock Osweiler on the ESPN broadcast said, I don't know about that. A pretty lame flag to throw to take points off the board. You better be egregious down the field if you're going to take points off the board. And not only was it not egregious, I'm not even really sure it met the definition of holding from Lincoln Cure. It's like they were picking on him. But again, at the end of the day, you can only say but so much about those. Those are judgment calls, and all the judgment calls seem to go in Utah's favor. And unfortunately, sometimes that's the way it goes when you're the home team and when the conference needs you to win the game so they can get some of that playoff revenue. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. But the truly egregious officiating decision was on the 4th and 1 with Utah driving down by 2 scores. Even after the pick 2, it's a 10-point game. It's 47-37. And they've got a 4th down and 1, and Utah substitutes, which means Kansas State can substitute. If you're a Kansas State fan, you have seen K-State do this and exploit this rule as much as any team in the country. You have the time it takes to get your players off the field. Now, they can't walk. You've got, I believe it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 seconds to get your players off the field. But you get to sub. If the offense subs, you get to sub in kind. And the official will come behind the center and make sure that the ball is not snapped. And every single time Kansas State has done this, they milk the clock. That's a huge advantage. Chris Klieman was one of the first coaches that I saw adapt this to his advantage, to use this as an opportunity to milk time off the game clock, maybe even force the other team into taking a timeout. And in this scenario, less than 4 minutes to go in a 2-score game on the road, and you're ahead, the clock is your friend. You're trying to milk the clock. So they make the substitute, and the defensive tackles for Kansas State go jogging off the field. And when they were not all the way clear from the field, the official backed off from the center, and the center snapped the ball. And I think it was Chidi Obiizor was still on the field. And it was a 12-man on the field penalty and an automatic first down, which was especially painful because Kansas State got the stop. And the stop had nothing to do with them having 12 men on the field. That'd be one thing. But the play shouldn't have happened when it did. There should have been more time allowed for Kansas State to get their players off the field. Chris Klieman today in his press conference says he wants an explanation from the Big 12 on what happened there. Hasn't received one yet. I got an explanation for you. $signs. That's what went on in the game today. That's not a very good Mark Mangino. You guys get what I'm driving at. Anyway, the game is over if Kansas State gets the stop there. They had 2-score lead, 4 minutes left, and the ball. Even if they don't get another first down, they're going to force Utah to burn the rest of their timeouts, and they're going to punt it away, and Utah's going to have to drive the full field at least once. Those calls were huge. Those calls were maximally impactful. And if you wanted to say that those calls cost Kansas State the game, I don't think you'd be wrong. It also cost them the game that they couldn't get another 3rd and 1 stop on what ended up being the game-winning drive. And then they handled that situation pretty poorly. They just should have let Dampier score once he got into the open field, get the ball back, save their timeout. They definitely should have let Utah score on the 1st and goal instead of trying to wall up defensively. You're trying to win the game. And they score a touchdown. You get the ball back, you get a timeout. And then, of course, the last drive was a mess. Avery Johnson hasn't handled those situations great this season, those 1-minute drill situations. He's thrown a couple of game-losing INTs. So there were chances, but the lead slipped away, and Kansas State lost a heartbreaker against the 12th-ranked team in the country, despite rushing for nearly 500 yards, and despite Joe Jackson setting a new program record for single-game rushing yards. Think of all the great running backs in K-State history, and none of them has ever run for more yards in a game than Joe Jackson. If you told me in August a Kansas State running back is going to set the single-game rushing record of Kansas State, I'd say, it makes sense. Dylan Edwards is really good. And it's Joe Jackson against Utah on the road. Unbelievable. It was an incredible effort for Kansas State. there was nothing to hang the head about coming off that field for the Wildcats. They took the fight to a possible playoff team and battered their vaunted defense. They switched up their run scheme. Matt Wells found something that worked. And as critical as I've been of Matt Wells, and as much as I'd wished on their final 3-and-out drive that Kansas State would have just ran the dang ball on first down instead of getting cute with an RPO, Matt Wells called a hell of a football game. Man, they had a scheme. They had a plan. They executed it. The effort was tremendous. You can't ask for anything more. They just didn't finish. They didn't finish. And part of not finishing is that Utah's really good and that their offense is really good. And that Devin Dampier, he not consistent, but he is capable. And he made 2 awesome throws on the touchdown drive that got them back within 3. The 3rd and 22 throw that got him to close on 4th and 1 and allowed the drive to continue. And then the touchdown throw. Great balls. He didn't throw a lot exactly like that in that game, but he made some big-time throws in a big-time moment. And you give the other team credit. They practice too. They got kids on scholarship too. It's not all about we won or we choked. Utah took it. Give them credit. Chris Klieman was distraught post-game, moved to tears. I was going to play the audio of his post-game press conference, but I really think you need to see it as much as hearing it. Hearing it doesn't really even do it all justice. You need to see the pain, the hurt that Chris Klieman took to that podium and how hard it was for him to even get the words out. And I understand that there is absolutely room to criticize. I'm never going to sit here and say anybody ought to be free from criticism. Chris Klieman and his coaching staff made mistakes this season, and they own a big part of the reason this team that came in as the 17th ranked team in the country in the preseason is 5-6. They own a lot of it. Everybody on the coaching staff owns it. There hasn't been, even the injuries obviously are a huge factor. Coach has nothing to do with that. That's just football. And unfortunately, sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles. But when you're talking about preparing for the season, I thought they got the level of urgency about the Iowa State game completely wrong. And that loss affected them in a way that it shouldn't have. And I think there is absolutely fair room to be critical of Chris Klieman and the coaching staff this season. 100%. But that reaction on the dais after that loss to Utah, that suggests to me, and I don't want to, I'm not speculating. I want to be very careful with how this comes off because I don't have any inside information I'm keeping from you guys. And I would hate to sound like I am speculating that there is something like serious and sinister going on right now at Kansas State. I am not. I want to get out ahead of that. But it feels like there was more to that response from Chris Klieman beyond we lost a football game, we've had a tough season, and some anonymous internet tough guys are being buttheads on the internet. Like every coach deals with anonymous internet tough guys. Part of the gig. You know, you don't like it, don't coach. Don't be a Division I coach if you can't handle the criticism from Ema is the greatest 119 on the Go PowerCat message boards. I made that screen name up. If somebody actually has that screen name, I apologize to you. You might be a really nice guy. You might not be a butthead. But you guys get what I'm driving at. Like, that is part of the job. But sometimes it can go beyond just clacking away at your keyboard and being critical and talking about you want to see guys fired. I think what Klieman probably has taken the most personal is the idea that he said this, he said, I hear that I've cashed it in, that he doesn't care. That didn't look like a coach who doesn't care. So I do wonder if there's more to the criticism and more to what's gone on behind the scenes, because that was a head coach who felt the weight of a loss and the weight of a season and the weight of everything that this was supposed to be and is not in 2025 for Kansas State football. That was a reaction with all of it coming down on his shoulders at once. It was very human. It was very real. It was very raw. I don't care that Chris Klieman was moved to tears. If you care that he cried, that's a you problem. Dick Vermeil cried all the time and he won a Super Bowl. I don't care he cried. If you're crying, it means you care. One of the most famous sports speeches of all time, Jim Valvano said, yeah, you cry every day. That's a good day if you cry every day. If you have your emotions moved in such a way that you are moved to tears, you've had a full day. Now, it doesn't bother me in the least. And it didn't bother me in the least that Gene Taylor went up to the podium, not as the athletic director of Kansas State University, but as Chris Klieman's friend. That said something to me, too, that this goes beyond just, love my cats 22 logging into a message board and saying, Chris Klieman ought to be fired, that bum. There's more going on, is what I think. There's more that we're not privy to. And I don't even necessarily mean that there's something sinister again going on, but that felt like more than just your garden variety criticism that every coach of a team that is having a down season faces. But I don't understand any criticism for that staff and that team coming out of that football game on Saturday. Those guys gave everything for that football game. You watched it, you saw it. And really all season long, I have never turned on a Kansas State football game this season and watched them play football and felt like that team is mailing it in. That team doesn't care. We talked about the possibility that existed for Kansas State to mail it in after the 1-3 start. We know at least one player who did. But we talked about that being a possibility. We talked about how in this era of college football, if you have essentially the freedom to elect free agency every season as a college football player, if things aren't going right, if things aren't going your way at the school you're at, you can decide after you've played 4 games, yeah, I'm good off this. I'm going to take a rest. I'm going to rest. I'm going to get ready for next year somewhere else. And again, we know at least one player who did that. But everybody else who's putting on that uniform, who tried to play through injury and couldn't until they couldn't anymore, like Austin Romaine, who are in their 6th, 7th year of eligibility on surgically repaired legs and given everything they've got, like Taylor Poitier, those guys haven't quit. Those guys have played hard in every single game. And those coaches, as much as I have not loved the game plans, not loved the way the offense is taking shape, it is not as though hard work and effort absolves all criticism. That is not the point I am driving at here. You can work hard and you can give great effort, but you can still make mistakes. You can still get things wrong. I think the coaching staff has gotten things wrong this year. I think some players have maybe, I don't know that anybody's gotten worse, but there's definitely not been the kind of year over year or game over game individual growth that you usually get from a Kansas State team. But the effort and hard work ought to be noticed. It ought to be recognized at the very least. This isn't a game where you get a participation trophy, but all you can do at the end of every 60 minutes you get is look in the mirror at the end of it and be honest with yourself. Did I give my all for my school, for my team, for my coaches, for the name on the back of my jersey? Did I give my all today? And there's not a single Kansas State Wildcat who suited up yet on Saturday that couldn't look in the mirror and say that to themselves and be honest that, yes, they did give it all. That's something to be proud of, even if the final score isn't. And for a coach who cares that much about the university, as Chris Klieman said in his press conference, he's given his life for that place for 7 years. He cares about the university, cares about the program, cares about the kids, everything you want in a football coach. The results this year haven't been there. They own that. They wear that. But maybe they're having to wear a little too much. Maybe the burdens we can't see, burdens we don't know about that have been placed on Chris Klieman's shoulders this season. There's only but so much any one man can bear over the course of time. And what we saw on Saturday was, I think, the full weight of everything this season has been just collapse on Chris Klieman's shoulders. To the point where, honestly, Colorado's bad, man. Like, I watched their game against Arizona State. Colorado stinks. You want to talk about mailing it in. Kansas State should beat Colorado on Saturday. I think they're going to. But you do wonder, after an effort like that, where you play yourself to the brink and you come up empty, can you gather your bearings with a week to prepare and give another effort just like that? Do you have anything left? We'll find out. We'll find out early Saturday. That's an 11 a.m. kick. That was announced over the weekend. You'll be able to hear it right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Pre-game coverage at 9 a.m. ahead of the final game of the regular season for the Wildcats. We'll take a quick break here on 580 Sports Talk. We'll come back with What is Wrong with You next here on the program. So what is wrong with you time on 580 Sports Talk? We got two new stories competing today, and one of them is going to be the weekly champion and advance to tomorrow's semifinals and finals on a short week, final week in November here on What is Wrong with You on 580 Sports Talk. And joining us is Spencer Dupuis. Hi, Spencer.
Hi.
It's good to have you along. We got two new stories today. Spencer, why don't you go first?
Yeah, this is pretty short and quick story here. We're going to go to Johnson County, Iowa. A man from Iowa is accused of flashing drivers on interstates because he said he needed some excitement in his life, according to authorities. Danon Arai, 30, is charged with 2 counts of indecent exposure.
I'd say something went awry.
He's charged with 2 counts of indecent exposure. According to the criminal complaint, drivers saw him standing at the back of his car as he exposed his genitals to oncoming drivers. Court filings show he did this 2 days in a row. The first incident listed on October 14th around 7:30 a.m. on Interstate 80 near Oxford. The second incident was reported around 3:30 p.m. on October 15th in the northbound lane of Interstate 380 near North Liberty. A Johnson County Sheriff's deputy said he admitted to the offense and said he was, quote, fulfilling an excitement that was currently missing in his blah life. Further information was not available.
I don't know, man. Like, go ride some go-karts or something. You need go bungee jumping. I need some excitement in my life. I'm going to wave my Johnson at passing drivers. What?
Yeah.
How did you land on that? I need some excitement in my life. How is that your first choice?
Exactly.
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe he meant to go golf, but the course was closed for repairs. Maybe I don't know, like go for a jog. Go see a movie. Like what I don't know if there are any good movies. Go see a movie. Go pick a new show to watch. Need some excitement in your life. Yeah, you know what's real exciting? Court. Jail.
I'm pretty sure doesn't that you might have to register too. I don't
Yeah,
know, were there
no
kids
kidding.
involved? Like,
yeah, you got some excitement every year for the rest of your life when you have to tell people where you live.
yeah.
Go knock on doors and tell your neighbors who you are and why you're a sex offender because you thought your life was boring. Now you're a bored sex offender. Congratulations. For my story, we are going to go to Japan. We're going to Japan for my story. We meet 26-year-old Kota Shiazawa, a company employee at a convenience store in Funabashi in the Chiba prefecture. He filled a plastic bottle with urine, labeled it as tea, and put it on the beverage shelf.
Ugh.
A customer who purchased the bottle that day noticed an odd odor when he opened it and reported it to the store without drinking it. This forced an inspection of all drink products on the shelf, disrupting business. Police said Shiazawa was identified after an analysis of store surveillance camera footage. He was quoted as saying, "I only thought of it as a prank and had no intention of disrupting business. I was frustrated because things weren't going well at work." Why is that your first response? Oh, man, I'm having a tough time at work. I'm going to try and sell a bottle of urine as a bottle of tea. That'll be good for a laugh. That'll make my day better. It can ruin everybody's day, except for the guy who, well, you still ruin the guy who bought your urine, purchased it with currency, and then thankfully didn't drink it. My gracious. Yeah, we're going to go with your story today. Like, yours is going to be a strong contender tomorrow. I'll tell you what right now. Needed some excitement in my life.
Yeah.
I'll wave my wiener at people on I-80. That's exciting. Jeez, Lou. Unbelievable.
Like, I just don't, where does that come into mind? Like, yeah, like.
I've never been so bored in my life. Go buy a Nintendo Switch. Go, I don't know, go read a book. Go to the library. Need some excitement in your life. Go out for a jog. Go to the zoo. There's so many things that you could have done. Go on a road trip. Get in your car and drive. You don't have to wear pants when you're driving. You should probably do that. You get pulled over. You don't. You do. Let me backtrack on it. You do need to wear pants while you're driving. Like, I need some excitement. I got a dull life. I'm going to spice it up by committing a sex crime. That might be one of the biggest morons we've ever had on this segment. And that's saying something. That's our winner for What Is Wrong With You. When we come back, Spencer was in the house at Arrowhead yesterday. We're going to talk about the moment that the crowd came into the game and some more reaction to the Chiefs' overtime win over the Colts yesterday at Arrowhead. That's all coming up. Stay with us on 580 Sports Talk. 4:38 on 580 Sports Talk on this Monday. Thanks for hanging out with us. Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis here with you in this 4 o'clock hour of the program today. KU winner over Notre Dame, 71-61, the final from Vegas. We'll talk more about that in the 5 o'clock hour as the Jayhawks get a win without Darren Peterson at the Players Era tournament in Las Vegas. Spencer was not only in attendance, he was covering the Chiefs win over the Colts yesterday afternoon at Arrowhead Stadium. So I want to get a firsthand account of the switch that seemed to flip in the fourth quarter after Kareem Hunt's fumble. Chiefs were driving to get within a score. Hunt coughs it up. It's 20-9 Colts, about 14 and a half minutes to play. Jesse Newell captured it really beautifully, I thought, in his story at The Athletic today, which everybody should go read. But, Spencer, you were there, so tell me that TV timeout into that defensive series, what happened in that stadium?
It was just crazy. To be honest, like, the vibes were immaculate the entire day, and it's just unfortunate that just things couldn't get rolling.
Were those the chicken fingers talking, or?
No, like, the vibes are really immaculate for, like, so it was crazy. I don't know how early you were up on Sunday morning, but if you walked outside and you noticed, it was foggy everywhere.
Right.
It was so hard to get to when you were in the parking lot, you couldn't see the stadium unless you were up in the very front lot. So just walking through the lot, like, the vibes were immaculate in the morning. And I guess it's because the other one, like, I went to a Monday night game, the last game I went to. So, like, maybe,
different kind of atmosphere,
different kind of vibes at the time I got in. I got there like 9, 10 and parked and whatever. So I thought it was going to be a good day just by the vibes. And then things didn't take the best turn on the field. And there were a lot of people I saw on Twitter saying, wow, what is this team doing? What is this team doing? And then you get to the third quarter. And, well, first of all, after that Kelsey touchdown, the Kelsey touchdown that wasn't a touchdown. Everybody in the press box was livid. Because everybody's like, oh, that's not a face mask. Like when they replayed it on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So it was that whole thing was weird. But then you got to after that Kareem Hunt fumble, you head to the fourth quarter and just everything just came alive. And Chris Jones, who he is, he's a leader. He's the loud guy in the room. He's the guy that makes you want to become a Chiefs fan. And, he goes out there and he gets the crowd going. And I don't know what it was about what, like, obviously he did it because he knew it was that time of the game, but it just worked. And the momentum was literally taking them from maybe being able to get this comeback to, oh no, Kareem Hunt just gave the ball away. This game's over. They're going to go score another touchdown and put in, the whatever the coffin reference is.
The nail in the coffin.
The nail in the coffin. And it's going to be over for the Chiefs and their playoffs hopes are basically gone. And then Arrowhead just changed.
It was the late Therese Paylor used to use the phrase refer to an over my dead body game. And Mahomes has had a lot of those individually in his career and kind of felt like he was a big part of that. But that felt like an over my dead body game for everybody.
Yeah.
When as soon as Hunt fumbled, you saw the reaction from Kelsey, bear hugging his teammate, trying to lift him up. There was a good shot of that on the CBS broadcast. You got Chris Jones, and this is where it has to come from, right? Like, if the Chiefs are going to mount one last run, because this does, even as the focus is on the short term and what has to be done to get back to the playoffs, it does feel like a bit of a last ride for a certain iteration of this Chiefs team, one with the trinity of Mahomes, Kelsey, and Chris Jones at the head of it. And Mahomes still has many, many years of outstanding quarterbacking left ahead of him. Don't get me wrong. But Jones and Kelsey are closer to the end than they are the beginning. And both guys, I think, are aware of that. Kelsey, obviously, is keenly aware. He considered retirement before coming back for this season. And by the way, played, I think, the most snaps in a game that he has played over 80 snaps in that game.
And you think about it and you look at what happened, you're like, oh, it's because Noah Gray went out. Noah Gray didn't go out till till overtime.
Yeah, it was that fourth quarter catch that he had where he landed awkwardly and hit his head, had to be checked out and set up the 4th and 3 conversion to Rashee Rice.
That was late in the fourth quarter.
So, the Chiefs were doing a lot of 2 tight end, 3 tight end stuff, and Kelsey was, is going to be in for all of that. So he played a ton of snaps. But, Chris Jones is another guy who we have talked about.
And he doesn't show up on the stat sheet.
Yeah.
He had one tackle yesterday, unfortunately.
One tackle. He was the best defensive player in the field for either team.
Yeah.
And it started with the first play of that series after the Hunt fumble, where he blew up the run play and the Colts lost yards. He made another play it was the 4th down near midfield. Might have been in overtime when Drew Tranquill came in on the 4th and short and made the tackle to clean it up. If Jones wasn't the best defender on the field, it was Drew Tranquill. And again, that's a veteran guy. That's a guy who's been in the league for a long time. And with the Chiefs being where they are, when you're a young player in the league, you kind of feel like, well, all right, if this isn't the year, we got next year. And I don't think it's a mistake that this team's veterans, that a group of guys on this team who know better than to take playing football for granted, know better than to take a season for granted or an opportunity for granted, because they're closer to the end of the line than the beginning, like Kelsey or Chris Jones, because they've had it taken away from them due to serious injury and off-field malfeasance, like Kareem Hunt, like Rashee Rice. Just veteran guys who've been around, who played a lot of football, who know, hey, the next season, the next contract, it's not promised to me, like a Drew Tranquill. Those were the guys that flipped the switch. And when, in talking to Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, in the 3 o'clock hour today, he said kind of what I was feeling, that, this was the sort of emotional response that we expected to see from the Chiefs against Buffalo, or that we expected to see from the Chiefs at Denver the week before. And maybe it's not a coincidence, and Patrick Mahomes said as much in the postgame, he didn't feel like it was a coincidence, that they were able to summon that emotional reaction on their home turf, that they got that lift from the crowd. We know Arrowhead's reputation as the loudest outdoor stadium in football. But when you win so much and so often, the little things like that, the little things like the home field advantage that the Chiefs have enjoyed throughout this run, kind of get pushed to the back of the line a little bit. That was an opportunity for anybody who had bought a ticket, for anybody who was in a seat, for anybody who's been there through the good times, and especially if you were there through the bad times. You get a game ball for that response on Sunday. That was a time your guys needed you, and you lifted them up. And you'll be able to count, probably, if you could be a season ticket holder for 40 years and go to every game. And at the end of it, you'd be able to count on one hand the number of times you had that kind of impact. That's special. That doesn't happen every game. It happened on Sunday. That was a really, really cool thing to see. And it lifted the defense 4 3-and-outs to end that game. We had talked about it all last week, Spencer. The way to beat the Colts was to make it about Daniel Jones, was to limit Jonathan Taylor and dare the Colts to make it about Daniel Jones. And Taylor had that 127-yard run. He had 15 other carries for 31 yards.
Well, I think the biggest thing, too, is that in the fourth quarter, the Colts had the ball for 3 minutes and 14 seconds.
Yeah, you don't get to possess it when you go 3-and-out, 3-and-out. Yeah.
So that is how the Chiefs came back. But also, crazy thing about Kareem Hunt, did you know in his career, he has only lost 2 fumbles?
I think one was in his first game.
Yes. And the other one was the other day.
Wow. That's only the second fumble he's lost in his whole career. Wow. I remember because he was a 3rd-round pick, and he got the start on opening night against the Patriots, and he fumbled early It was like, oh, I don't know about this young kid. And then he had an unbelievable game. He had a 75-yard touchdown reception. Yeah, we all remember Kareem Hunt's debut. But, man, that's wild.
He's had 7 fumbles in his career, and only 2 of them have been lost.
It's why he's such a valuable short yardage option, because you know he's not going to cough it up after getting the 1 yard that you need on 3rd and 1. The
Also,
Chiefs,
both were 100-yard games.
huh.
He had 17 for 148,
So
30 for 104.
I think that was the 16th 100-yard rushing game for a Chiefs running back in Mahomes' career.
And the last 3 have been Kareem Hunt. I think that's correct.
No, Damian Williams would have had one. I'm almost positive.
Well, there was one 2017. I'd have to double check, but I saw at least. Well, I guess maybe he's had 3 of the 100 of.
Yeah,
however many.
I would believe that. Yeah, 3. Yeah. I'll tell you, I thought that
Well, no, he had the last one last year.
I had a 100-yard rushing game last year.
Yeah, 27 for 106 against who is this? Tampa.
God, I do not remember him rushing for that.
Yeah.
Wow. So,
and then he has had the last 3. Because he had the one against New Orleans last year, too. 27 for 102.
wow. Okay.
27 for
go.
106 and 30 for 104.
All right. Well, there you go. Yeah, I had that completely wrong. But yeah, it took effort like that. It took effort like that from guys who don't take this opportunity that's in front of them, don't take this season that's in front of the Chiefs for granted. There are going to be people out there who make the argument, maybe they're right, that it would benefit the Chiefs to pick closer to the middle of the draft than the end of the draft for a change, because they've run into a deficit of blue chip talent that is inevitable to run into when you're picking 31st or 30th or 32nd every year. It's just part of it. It's just what happens. It's by design that you have less access to the kind of talent that keeps you easily great from year to year, from year to year. But that was collectively in that 4th quarter a decision that all 53 guys, all 46 active players said, not today. It may end for us. This era may end with a whimper and not a bang, but it's not going to end today. Not in front of these fans, not against this opponent, not in week 12 at noon. If it ends, it ends, but it ain't ending today. And I don't know how you can be anything but inspired by that. Anything cool from the locker room postgame?
I'm assuming you've seen this on social media, but Travis was asked something about Patrick Mahomes. I think about how he took them down the field on that drive, and Travis answered it in his Pat impersonation voice.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
I have not seen that. You'd be amazed how much I miss these days trying to run a 17-month-old around the house.
Also, this is just a funny anecdote. So, I'm a hat guy, right?
Sure, yeah.
Well, before the game yesterday, I didn't see it personally. I saw on social media that Creed came in the walked in with his new Boulevard Brewing hat that they're doing a collab, and it's going to harvesters. There's a donation, there's a charity arm involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
So I immediately sent the screenshot to Olivia, and I said, I need to buy this, or nudging her hey, my birthday, Christmas is coming up,
mm-hmm.
And she said, you don't need any more hats. So I just happened to be right next to Creed after the post-game scrum, and he was putting on his hat.
Okay.
So I commented on the night. I said, nice hat, man. I tried to tell my girlfriend to buy it for me, and she was like, you don't need any more hats. And he said, well, you want this one? And I said no. I felt that was weird. But he asked me if I wanted this hat.
Hey, that's, yeah.
And then he said, she has to buy it for you if you tell her that part of the proceeds are going to charity, or she'll feel bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
There you go. There you go. You and Creed are buds now. That's a good story. I enjoyed that. All right, Spence, we'll talk to you on, I won't talk to you, but we'll hear from you on tomorrow's show.
Yep.
Hey, thanks a lot. That is Spencer Dupuis, a little firsthand account of that Chiefs win at Arrowhead. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this 4 o'clock hour next. Wrapping up this 4 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk Picks Contest recap. I don't think this has happened all year, but I had the best week of the group. Very proud of myself. Of course, everybody's got a bit this year, right? On the 580 Sports Talk Picks. We do it every Friday on the program, get our picks in. Spencer's bit is Marshall and the Commanders always to cover. Brendan's bit lately has been respecting the belt, doing a lot of belt respecting, the Sun Belt Conference in his college football picks. My bit is an after-the-fact bit. My bit is I'm Mr. Push, and I got another one. I had another one on Sunday. I had Pittsburgh +3. They lost by a field goal to the Bears. So that's my 5th push of the season. The rest of the crew, I think, has 2 combined. I have 5. Between the push and a terrible backdoor cover my Seahawks allowed against Tennessee, which really, if they hadn't scored that touchdown in the final minute, would have been another push, which would have been hilarious. But that's why I wasn't perfect this week. But I'll take a winning week. It's been a while for me. 3-1-1 on my picks this week. Spencer goes 2-3. Marshall didn't cover for the first time maybe in the history of their program. They've been unbelievable covering the spread in the last 2 years, and they did not cover the spread. Not only did they not cover the -5, they lost to App State. So Spencer goes 2-3 for the week. Brendan 1-4. You may respect the belt, but the belt often does not respect you back. It's a difficult beast to tame. He got by the hook on the Bengals Patriots game too. He had Pats -6.5 and they won by 6. So a couple of tough beats, but that's the way things go. I think that moves me back ahead of Brendan for second place. Spencer will remain in the lead in the 580 Sports Talk picks contest. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour of the show, the rest of the NFL week that was. We'll talk about whether the Rams are the best team in the NFL and whether we're just going to do the Tim Tebow discourse all over again with Shedeur Sanders, because it sure looks like that's what we're going to do. Count me out, unless it gets me page views and hits and clicks, in which case I will talk about Shedeur Sanders for 3 hours a day. If that's what it takes. I won't do that, I promise. Also, college sports weekend in review. K-State basketball loses Friday. KU football loses. KU wins in basketball. They beat Notre Dame 71-61. And headlines. That's going to come up to start the final hour of the day here on this Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour on this Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk, a victory Monday edition of the program. Thanks so much for being with us. My name is Dan Lucero. This is the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and our video channels streaming as well. On YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, and on Facebook at WIBW News. Like and subscribe, folks. Means the world. Doesn't cost you a thing. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, WIBW News on Facebook. Hop in the live chat on our YouTube stream. You can leave comments on Facebook if you prefer to watch on Facebook. And you can text the program as well. 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. Still to come on the show, there's lots of college sports action from the weekend and from today that we haven't gotten to yet. I do have some thoughts on KU football losing to Iowa State and the need for a new football identity at KU. K-State suffering their first men's basketball loss of the season. Not a bad loss. Nebraska's, well, they're not bad. I think they might have a pretty good team. And they had the kind of team that's built to give K-State a little trouble. So it's a good learning experience for K-State in that game. They got another big one tomorrow night at Indiana. And KU basketball beat Notre Dame in Vegas earlier today. 71-61 the final. And again, another, I felt, encouraging team performance without Darren Peterson for the Kansas Jayhawks. So we'll get into that a little bit later on. Also, some more NFL Week 12 thoughts, your texts, your comments on the YouTube, and headlines. So that's all still coming up here on this final hour of 580 Sports Talk. One more time, that text line, 785-272-9429, and the live chat on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk. Let's do the headlines. We'll start with a couple of Chiefs roster notes. They have officially signed running back Dameon Pierce to the practice squad today. Dameon Pierce was released by the Texans last week, formerly a fourth-round pick of the Texans, and led the team with 939 rushing yards during his rookie season. He has not been good since. He had just 10 carries this year for 26 yards and a touchdown. This is not the Deus Ex Machina that upgrades meaningfully the talent on hand in the running back room. When the story is written about the 2024 and 2025 Kansas City Chiefs, because the 2024 Chiefs did not three-peat, and the 2025 Chiefs do not look much like a team that is going to win a Super Bowl. Even in the warm glow of Sunday's come from behind overtime win, it must be said that you can't write them off. You can never underestimate the heart of a champion, but the Chiefs are more likely than not going to win Super Bowl 60. I don't think it's a knock. Just it is what it is. And when the story is written about why the Chiefs didn't win a championship in 2024 and probably won't win a championship in 2025, a lot of it's going to have to do with the mismanagement of the running back group. The injury to Isaiah Pacheco last year was one thing. That was unfortunate. Pacheco at least had trended in a good direction his first two seasons, and there's nothing you can do about a long-term injury. But this year, to just decide that, yeah, running back's fine. We're good. We're good there. We don't need to commit any extra resource to that. Let's sign Elijah Mitchell, who hasn't played in a football game in a year, and let's use a seventh-round pick on a guy who played 1 year of running back in college. That'll fix it. It needed fixing. And it was not fixed. It was barely addressed. And it's the worst running back room in the league. And I say that with respect to the effort that Kareem Hunt is giving week in and week out. It is a respectable and admirable veteran's effort. He is still a limited player. He averaged less than 3 yards a carry yesterday. Okay? That's not good. They gave it to him 30 times, and he played his heart out, and he scored a touchdown, and they don't win without him. He left his guts out on the field, and I respect it immensely. It doesn't mean that he was like the reason that you give the ball to Kareem Hunt 30 times is because teams are okay with you giving the ball to Kareem Hunt 30 times. And the reason teams are okay with you giving the ball to Kareem Hunt 30 times is because they know he's not going to bust one. Did you see Jahmyr Gibbs take that first play of overtime to the house for the Lions against the Giants? When was the last time you saw a Chiefs running back that could do that in the open field? Seriously. Got to go back to Jamal Charles. But, like, even the capability to do something like that in the open field. Chiefs opponents know, look, yeah, you want to hand it off, fine, because you're not getting more than 5 yards. We'll let you plod and poke along down the field. That's fine. You can do that because you might make a mistake along the way. It's the reason teams are content to allow other teams to dink and dunk. You might be able to do it for a drive or two, but ultimately you're going to make a mistake, put the ball on the ground, or defense is going to get a splash play on you and put you in a 3rd and long, and you're going to stall out. And you're not going to score touchdowns, and touchdowns typically are what win you football games. So that's why teams have been so willing to let the Chiefs run the ball and not respected the deep ball. Why aren't the Chiefs throwing the deep ball anymore? It ain't there. Well, then run the ball more. Okay, they did. They gave the ball to Kareem Hunt 30 times in a 2025 NFL game. And that's what this running back room is. You've got Isaiah Pacheco, who, I'll be honest with you, I think he'll find a home next year. It won't be with the Chiefs. He won't be back with the Chiefs. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still around somehow. No idea how that happened. Elijah Mitchell has to feel like, man, what did I do? Did I look at Brett Veach's wife funny? Did I say something that Andy Reid overheard, make a joke he didn't like? Like, what did Elijah Mitchell do? That, or he's just awful in practice. He's like the worst practice player in history. But he can't get a game. They would rather play Clyde Edwards-Helaire than Elijah Mitchell, which, I mean, if I were Elijah Mitchell, I'd be knocking on the doors every day asking, can y'all just cut me? Like, can I go sign somewhere else that might play me? Y'all aren't going to play me. Why am I here? I'm sure the checks are nice whether he plays or not, but I have no idea what they're doing there. They mismanaged the running back room. Long way of saying that Chiefs have completely mismanaged the running back room and the running back position, and it has put a serious damper on the capabilities of the Chiefs offense. And Dameon Pierce is not going to solve that problem. Shoot, he might play Thursday. Kareem Hunt just carried the ball 30 times. You think he's got 30 more in him against Dallas? I bet not. But would I rather see Dameon Pierce out there than Clyde Edwards-Helaire? They gave Clyde Edwards-Helaire the ball 5 times and threw it to him once. And every time was like lighting it down on fire. And I hate being mean about Clyde because, again, by all accounts, wonderful teammate. He's been through a lot in his life. He's a champion. He's a former first-round pick. All of those things will be true about him until the day he passes away. And I respect that. I respect that he's carved out the NFL career that he has carved out. Why are you giving him the football in an NFL game in 2025? But anyway, yeah, Dameon Pierce is a Chief now, added to the practice squad. Jimmy Holiday lost his gig as a practice squad player for the Chiefs. Also being reported, this is not good news for the Chiefs, that sounds like Trey Smith is going to miss some time. According to Ian Rappaport, who I believe had it first, and I'm trying to get the verbiage correct, but I got to scroll to find it here. It is going to be high and low ankle sprains for Trey Smith that will cause him to miss some time, including likely against the Cowboys on Thursday. So the anticipation is the Chiefs will be going up against one of the best interior defensive lines in football without their best interior offensive lineman. And that's not what you want. That is not what you want. That's not a great way to start game week against the Dallas Cowboys, to know that you've got their strength against what is typically a weakness, not a weakness for the Chiefs, but not as strong if Trey Smith isn't there. The Chiefs did not practice today, and the Cowboys did not either, but both teams have to put out a estimated participation report today because they, of course, play on Thanksgiving. So had the Chiefs practiced, Noah Gray would not have practiced. He's in the protocol. And Trey Smith would not have practiced with the ankle injuries. Leo Chenal, Rashee Rice, and Xavier Worthy would have been limited. Chenal with a knee, Rice with a hamstring. You could see him grabbing at it in the fourth quarter and overtime. He played through it and didn't look like it was a huge hindrance for Rice. I mean, the guy had over 100 yards receiving, 141 yards receiving. And then Xavier Worthy with an ankle injury that he's just been dogging him all season, really. And he missed some time, went to the sideline, came back in the game later, dealing with that. So Chanel, Rice, and Worthy would have been limited today. George Karlaftis, Patrick Mahomes, Isaiah Pacheco, Chris Rowland Wallace, and Juwan Taylor all getting treatment, would have been able to practice in full. Mahomes popping up with a groin injury. Chris Rowland Wallace with a back injury that he suffered yesterday. Juwan Taylor with the knee, Isaiah Pacheco with the knee, George Karlaftis with that thumb. He's been playing with a cast on. That's the estimated injury report for the Chiefs. They had practice today. Other NFL news, no Jaden Daniels for the Commanders against the Broncos when those two teams play on Sunday Night Football. Always like knowing Sunday Night Football is going to be a dud so I can do something else with my Sunday night. It's always nice to know a week in advance that game's going to suck and be unwatchable. Because the Broncos are good. Like we've established, like, okay, you're 9-2, you don't get there by accident. But like they're not pleasant to watch. Like watching like Iowa. And unless you're an alum, do you like on purpose watch Iowa football? I bet you don't. That's what Denver is. They're NFL Iowa. When it works, it works. And then no Jaden Daniels for Washington. So, yeah, I'll give Sunday Night Football a miss. That's for sure. Also, Shedeur Sanders will start on Sunday for the Cleveland Browns. He'll get his second NFL start after he became the first Browns quarterback since 1999 to win his first NFL start, with the Browns beating the Raiders 24-10 yesterday. The last Browns quarterback to do it, by the way, Eric Zier. If you remember that name, you're a real sicko. Also in the news today, we're going to file this from the NFL and then another story that I already touched on in Good, Bad, Ugly. We're going to file this under the There Are No Consequences department. These stories are from the There Are No Consequences department. The New Orleans Saints, who stink. They are 2-9. It doesn't matter who their kicker is. It could be you. It could be me. It could be a soccer player they find down the street. It does not matter who kicks field goals and extra points for the New Orleans Saints. They are wretched. They gave Justin Tucker a tryout today. Justin Tucker was, operative word, one of the greatest kickers in NFL history. Then last year, he stunk out the joint. Then in the offseason, it was revealed, allegedly, it was alleged that he's a sex pest. And he's been on that Deshaun Watson and sexually harassing massage trainers for years. And whatever the NFL found in their investigation into these allegations was severe enough that Tucker got a 10-game suspension from the National Football League. The Ravens cut him soon thereafter. He hasn't had a team, but we are obviously more than 10 weeks into this NFL season, so the suspension is considered to have been served. And the Saints need a kicker after their kicker missed a couple of kicks yesterday. Again, who cares? They're 2-9. I don't even know who the Saints played. Honest to God, they played the Falcons. They played the Falcons. I think they lost. I don't know. I don't pay attention to the Saints. They're the Saints. They stink. Who cares? But they want to bring Justin Tucker on and be their kicker. After what's been alleged of him, they want to put him back on the field. And this is the quote from Kellen Moore, their head coach, when he was asked by the media today, say, hey, why are you giving this alleged sex pest who's already been suspended by the league? Why are you giving him a tryout? In so many words. And this was Kellen Moore's response. He's been one of their leaders for an extended period of time on a very successful team. Obviously, there's been some stuff that's been unfortunate. He's gone through an experience, and I think it's about collecting what that experience was. Okay, first of all, Kellen Moore, you're dumb as bricks. None of that made sense. The end of that is just word salad. But also, he's gone through an experience. Justin Tucker, he's gone through the experience. What was his experience? Consequences for his actions? That's so bad? We should all have consequences for our actions. I feel bad for Justin. He's gone through an experience. He's gone through being credibly accused of being a sex pest. He's gone through an experience. What about those women? Did you talk to any of them? I bet you didn't. I know the answer to that. I don't need to ask. Did Mickey Loomis, the general manager, did he call any of those women who alleged that behavior to have been committed by Justin Tucker? Did they do any legwork on this? No. Justin Tucker kicked ball good. Justin Tucker on good team. Maybe he can help us. We're sorry as hell. We're 2-9. Maybe he can make us 3-9 next week. Nonsense. The Saints should be ashamed of themselves for bringing him in for a tryout. Consequences for actions. He's gone through an experience. Yeah, poor Justin Tucker. Feel terrible for him. My heart bleeds for Justin Tucker that he had to sit out a suspension and lose his job because he's a sex pest, allegedly. My heart breaks. We'll start a telethon. Also in the no consequences department, I brought this up earlier on the show. Eastern New Mexico University announced today that it does not care about the safety of its female students. They did so by hiring Art Briles as their head football coach. The long story short of it is that when Art Briles was the head coach at Baylor, he had multiple players who were credibly accused and even criminally charged with sexual assault on campus. It was a bit of an epidemic on campus that Baylor football players were committing, being accused of committing, being criminally charged with sexual crimes. And Art Briles knew about it and sat on it for 2 years because, well, the Bears were winning. Sat on it for 2 years. Lost his job over it. So did the athletic director, Ian McCaw. It was a whole thing. Maybe you remember the story. Art Briles is back coaching college football. He's back on a college campus. He's back on a college campus. He's back getting to recruit kids to a program. And if you're a female student at Eastern New Mexico University, I bet you feel a little less safe on your campus than you did yesterday. If you're a parent of a female student at Eastern New Mexico University, you feel a little less good about their safety and their regard on that campus that they've chosen to attend because Art Briles is in town. And that's the man he is. That's the kind of man Art Briles is. He proved it. He proved it over and over again. He had opportunities to say something. He had opportunities to shine a light on what was going on in his program. Never did it. Never did it. Art Briles is something of an offensive football genius. There's a reason that teams keep hiring like his kid and his protege, Jeff Lebby, is a head coach in the SEC. Like, it's genuinely innovative stuff, and obviously it's been super successful. He had Baylor winning, coached a Heisman Trophy winner. He won a bunch of state championships in high school before that. Like, you can be a good football coach, you can be a scoundrel. And you can be such a scoundrel that you do not deserve the second chance of getting to coach on a college campus again. It's one thing to say, oh, yeah, well, people deserve second chances. Yeah, sure. Repentance and consequences, and yeah, you get a second chance. But the second chance doesn't have to be you get to go back and do what you were doing before. That shouldn't be promised. That shouldn't be a guarantee. That real lasting consequence was this life you lived that you screwed up. You don't get to go back and live it again. World needs ditch diggers too. Just, again, the no consequences department. There are no consequences for the actions of the powerful. It's a common theme. Let's do another headline. We'll move on to some hot stove. How about that? We got to end this segment on a bit of a lighter note. And so we've got some baseball headlines. A 1-for-1 trade in Major League Baseball last night with the Texas Rangers sending second baseman Marcus Semien to the New York Mets in exchange for outfielder Brandon Nimmo. Nimmo's been a good player, really, his entire career. Good on-base guy. Marcus Semien's been a very solid player. His best ability is availability. He plays every game, hits for power. He's been a good defender at second base in his career. Both of them are pretty old, and it's just kind of a weird trade in that, like, okay, the Mets have a problem on the infield. Does Semien really fix it? The Rangers have a glut of outfielders. Who does Nimmo displace in the outfield? Strange trade. Really an odd one going down last night in Major League Baseball. And the final managerial vacancy in Major League Baseball has finally been filled as Colorado Rockies have removed the interim tag from manager Warren Schaefer. He will be the full-time manager in 2026. Schaefer led the Rockies. I'm trying to do the math here. And so bear with me a little bit as I do a little mental math. They went 36 and 86. 36 and 86 with Schaefer in the dugout after Bud Black was fired after a 7-33 start. Rockies lost 119 games, worst in the National League since 1962. To be honest, the primary qualification for managing the 2026 Colorado Rockies, or really any of the Colorado Rockies teams of the recent past and probably the near future, will be about the same as the primary requisite for getting hired to clean septic tanks for a living. Can you handle all the poop? Can you deal with the poop? If you can deal with the poop, we'll figure out the rest. If Warren Schaefer can deal with the poop, because the Rockies have a lot of poop ahead of them, then good for him. Everybody who knows him likes him. He's a nice guy. Players seem to like him. That's good. That when you're gonna lose 102 games at minimum next year, you may as well have a guy in the dugout who everybody likes, does a good press conference, and then if you're ever ready to be serious, you can fire him and go hire a real manager. All you need right now is a caretaker who's willing to deal with all the poop. A septic tank cleaner. Warren Schaefer. This has been Talking Rockies. We're going to take a timeout. We're going to come back. We're going to talk some NFL. Week 12, just about in the books. Why have the football gods subjected us to Panthers 49ers tonight? And gross. Anyway, 3 big questions from the weekend of the NFL. They're coming up next to 580 Sports Talk. .530 on 580 Sports Talk. Half hour left in the show today. Thanks for joining me. Chiefs Kingdom coming up, top of the 6 o'clock hour, followed by Monday Night Football from Westwood One. The Panthers and the 49ers will join their pregame coverage in progress. 3 big questions from the results of NFL Week 12. Number 1, how broken are the Philadelphia Eagles? They blew a 21-0 lead to the Dallas Cowboys, who have generally spent the season being pretty unserious. The Eagles, it's so fascinating. They have the skill player talent on offense where when it clicks, it looks like they are unstoppable, utterly unstoppable. And then it just doesn't click for long extended stretches. Nothing works. They win a lot of games just on talent alone. They're 8-3 on talent alone. They're going to win that division and they're going to make the playoffs on talent alone. But I don't know. That's a team with funky vibes. Of course, they had funky vibes last year won the Super Bowl. So vibes aren't everything with that team. They are still super talented, still really good on defense. But that's the kind of loss that hits you in the solar plexus and causes you to do some soul searching. And they'll come out of it or they won't. But I can't help but think that you get into a postseason situation, you can't go like 2 whole quarters and just not be able to do anything on offense at a time. You got to be able to provide some kind of consistent threat, and they've just been too inconsistent on offense. I don't consider them the favorites in the NFC. Let me put it that way. Question the second: are the Rams the best team in the NFL? I think right now you would have to say yes. Matt Verderame, our NFL expert, NFL insider, said yes when we had him on in the 3 o'clock hour earlier today. They pummeled the Buccaneers. That was fun. Remember the Baker Mayfield MVP discourse? Man, that was a fun time. That was a fun couple of weeks, yeah? Buccaneers are very banged up. We thought that injuries would eventually, come back to bite them, bring them back to the pack, and it certainly has happened. And now Baker Mayfield is hurt his non-throwing shoulder, and we'll see if that is going to cost him any kind of time. And he's a tough guy, but shoulder injuries have previously led to a decline in performance from Baker Mayfield in his career. So that's one to watch for sure. It also opens up the NFC South. I mean, if the Panthers win, they're right back in the mix tonight. But yeah, the Rams look really, really good because Matthew Stafford looks really, really good. They've given him a compliment to Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, and that looks unstoppable in the red zone. You want to talk about a red zone offense that you have trouble stopping. The Rams' red zone offense is not hard to figure out. It is chuck it up there to 17. And Devontae Adams making plays. That's not hard to figure out. And Puka Nacua remains brilliant, and they do good things up front. Obviously, their defensive line is exceptional. They're really, really good, the Rams. I think right now I would have to say they're the best team in the NFL, just on their current form. Like, if they played anybody else in the league on a neutral field tomorrow, just on their current form, I would expect the Rams to win. I don't think there's a particularly bad matchup for them. I just think that they're deep and they're good in the trenches, and they got a great quarterback and they got a great coach. Remember, they were 5-12 the year after they won the Super Bowl, and then 10 wins, and now they're 9-2. That little reset year seemed to do them a lot of good. They were active at the trade deadline. They got some draft capital that they had completely depleted with all of their trades to build up their Super Bowl roster. They rebuilt things, got it to the studs. A couple of average years, 10-7 years, early playoff exits. You're still picking in the middle of the draft, early 20s at the lowest. And now look at the roster. Looks like one of the best rosters, maybe the best in the league. Right now, I would say yes. Right now, I would say that's the best team in the NFL. Third big question of the week. Are we really going to do the Tim Tebow thing all over again with Shedeur Sanders? And this is what I mean by the Tim Tebow thing. Because I lived through the Tim Tebow thing. You have to remember this. I'm a Denver guy, so I lived through the Tim Tebow thing. Not a Broncos fan, but I know enough guys, and I'm connected enough that I still, follow all of that discourse, follow all that Bronco discourse. So I lived that in 2011 with Tim Tebow. Tebow was self-evidently not good at playing quarterback. Like, you didn't have to know ball. You didn't have to dig into the numbers. If you watched a football game, you could tell that he wasn't a good quarterback. He was not a good NFL quarterback. You didn't need any advanced knowledge of the sport. You didn't need to know there wasn't any nuance to it. He wasn't good. But there were a lot of people who really, really wanted him to be good. It was personal for them. It went beyond, well, I want him to be good because he's on my favorite team. Like Browns fans who want Shedeur to hit because they'd like a good quarterback for the first time in their natural lives. I don't blame Browns fans for this one bit. I'm not really talking about Browns fans with this. But with the Tebow thing, it was so personal for so many people because Tebow stood for something, was an avatar for something that was really, really important to a lot of people, whether that was his background, whether that was his religion, whether that was any other aspect of his personal story. Tim Tebow meant a lot to a lot of people. So his success was their success. And the people who were on board with Tebow were really, really on board with Tebow. And if you weren't on board, it must be because, oh, you don't like his religion. You don't like that he prays on the field. That offends you. They took it so personally and took it to such an extreme where the discourse overwhelmed the football. And it got to the point where it's like, okay, there's no point really talking about the player. Like, anybody who said Tebow wasn't fit to quarterback an NFL team, we all knew we were right because I was doing the same thing. I only had an hour of sports talk in Western Nebraska back in that day, but I knew I was right. And the proof was in the pudding because he never started another game after the Broncos cut him loose. But it was a discourse that went beyond just like what it was on the field because it was a player who meant a lot to a certain group of people, and they were very desirous that he would do well, and that desire overwhelmed the discussion. And I think we're getting there with Shedeur Sanders because there are a group of people for whom Shedeur Sanders represents somehow an underdog story, the son of one of the greatest athletes in the history of the world. I don't think that's an exaggeration talking about Deion Sanders, by the way. I really don't. He was a very good baseball player as a hobby. And he's one of the greatest NFL players of all time. He really is. Even though, well, Deion didn't tackle. Yeah, that was beside the point. He didn't need to tackle. You didn't throw at him. And he was a great punt returner. And he could play wide receiver. Deion was unbelievable. I shouldn't need to sell anybody on the greatness of Deion Sanders. I do not think it's an exaggeration to call him one of the all-time great athletes that we have ever seen. At least our lifetimes. If you want to limit the scope, fine. He's one of the greatest athletes of all time. That's his kid. Okay? And Shedeur is up there after the game, which, again, you look at the stat line. Oh, 11 for 20. That's not great. 209 yards. That's pretty good. Oh, there was all yak. The 66-yard touchdown pass, first of his career, all yak yards. He threw that ball behind the line of scrimmage. I think there were 71 yak yards on that play, on a 66-yard pass. Shout out Dylan Sampson. One touchdown, one interception. He was only sacked once. That's good. Like, there's not much to knock with Shedeur Sanders' performance on Sunday. He wasn't a disaster. He also wasn't, like, obviously ready for the moment. Boy, he was talking big stuff at the podium and postgame. Y'all want to see me fail? It's not going to happen. My dad took me to the hood. Like, trying to sell this as some kind of underdog story. You played for his prep school, and then you played for him in college. First in an HBCU, then in major conference Division I football. This is not an underdog story. It's amazing how willing people are to swallow the underdog narrative. Tom Brady's been pushing an underdog narrative his entire public life. He went to Michigan. He's not some scrappy underdog who everybody overlooked. He went to Michigan. Like, they don't recruit bums. They don't hand out scholarships because they feel sorry for somebody. Anyway, that neither here nor there. So this idea that Shedeur Sanders is some kind of underdog story, it's been really embraced. And there are a lot of people out there who are really, really passionate about Shedeur Sanders' success because it's personal for them. But also, you watch the film, against any kind of real pass rush, it doesn't work. There's obviously, like, there's some arm strength through one real good deep ball to Isaiah Bond. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he was bad or he was lousy. Like, they also played the worst team going right now in the NFL and the Raiders. Like, we'll learn more. We'll get some more information on what Shedeur Sanders is. It looks like they're going to start him the rest of the season. They might as well. They've got two quarterbacks on their roster. They know Dylan Gabriel isn't a starter for the future. Shedeur probably isn't either, but they at least get to find out. And then they can move on and draft somebody else or go sign somebody else this next offseason. And I just don't want to have another round of discourse about a player that goes beyond, like, this is on film. This is really obvious. This is on the stat sheet. This is obvious stuff. I'm really, really wary that it's going to get beyond that. It's going to be about something bigger than that with regard to Shedeur Sanders. And that's tiresome. That's not fun. I don't want to have those debates, because if it's so personal to you, then there's no sense in having the conversation. Unless, of course, the objective is to drive up the hits and subscriptions to our 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel and WIVW News on Facebook and our listeners on Spotify at 580 Sports Talk, in which case I say, join me for the next installment of Shedeur Sanders. Is he or isn't he? We'll take a quick break here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, college sports roundup. Everything we've missed, haven't gotten to yet. KU wins earlier today. Lose another guard in the process to injury. But big game for Flory Badunga, big game for Trey White, big game for Bryson Tiller as they beat Notre Dame. We'll talk some K-State hoops. We'll talk some KU football next here on 580 Sports Talk. .544 and 580 Sports Talk. Kansas football lost to Iowa State 38-14 on Saturday. They are 2-touchdown underdogs to Utah at home on this coming Black Friday. They do not find a way to beat Utah, although their in-state neighbors showed them something like a blueprint that, hey, you can line it up and run it at these guys if you really commit to it. Unless they are able to pull a significant upset, Kansas will miss out on a bowl game for a second consecutive year. And we had talked earlier this season about, and we talked to Michael Swain from Fog.net, our Jayhawks insider for Jayhawk Weekly. We talked to him about the idea that maybe things have plateaued a little bit for KU, not stagnated necessarily, but plateaued. They bumped their head on a ceiling a little bit, and they got to figure out a way how to punch through the ceiling again. And for me, the biggest thing is this. Good programs, consistently winning programs, have an identity. They have an on-field identity. And I'll be damned if I know what KU's identity is right now as a football team. Like, what do they show up on game day wanting to do? I don't think this year's Jayhawks ever found an identity. I think the pieces were in place to have one with a veteran returning quarterback that you spent some money to keep on campus, and Jalen Daniels. You went big in the transfer portal to give him some talented and speedy weapons after your entire wide receiver room basically graduated last year. Offensive line hasn't been as good as last season's, but I don't think it's been a tire fire. I kind of felt like that was going to be the identity of this team, and that hasn't really clicked. They've only been intermittently explosive in the passing game. Last year they had an identity, and it's not like, oh, well, if you have an identity, then you win. Last year they had an identity. It was Devin Neal on offense. He was the identity. But I just don't know if KU knows right now what they want to be great at, what they want to hang their hat on as a program. It feels like they're hanging their hat on, we're not your older brother's Kansas Jayhawks. And that's a good identity to establish when you're digging yourself out of a decade of utter futility, the likes of which is hard to match and hard to fathom in modern college football. But now that you've accomplished that, because we know that Kansas is not, these are not the Les Miles, David Beatty, Charlie Weiss, Turner Gill Jayhawks. They're not. Like, they're not going back. They've invested too much into the program on and off the field, so literally the field, to go back to that. That's not happening. So, okay, that was the identity. We're going to make Kansas football respectable. We're going to prove that we're a serious program. We're serious about investing. We're serious about winning in the Big 12. Okay, that's been proven. Now, what are you going to do to stay there? What's going to be the identity of the program that takes you beyond mediocrity as a ceiling? Because 5 and 7 seasons are mediocre. You lose practice time. You don't go to a bowl. Your fans don't get to spend the holidays in Shreveport or wherever. Memphis, Dallas, Fort Worth, whatever bowl destination you like. It's mediocrity. How do you push past it? What will the identity of Kansas football be? And I have a longer thought about identity as it pertains to turning over a new leaf and cleaning the slate a little bit on offense next year. That it might be beneficial to move away from the Jalen Daniels era a little bit. Not that JD hasn't given a ton to that program and doesn't deserve respect and hasn't had a fine career. But I think you turn the page from two guys that kind of defined the era, Devin Neal and Jalen Daniels, in back-to-back years. You get a chance to wipe the slate clean, and that could be a good thing. That could be a good thing for Kansas football as they move ahead. But they got to find an identity. They got to figure out what they're going to be and how they're going to continue to move forward as a program. KU basketball, they were a winner today, 71-61. They beat Notre Dame. I said last week, the Duke effort, the effort in that loss to Duke, showed me that this KU team can win games at the Players era without Darren Peterson. And they got themselves one today, 71-61. They got it despite not shooting particularly great. They were just 6 of 20 from behind the arc. Notre Dame was worse, 4 for 24. KU defended well and rebounded their tails off. When you don't have a gifted scorer, a gifted ball handler, a guy who makes everything go, your star has to be the team stuff that ratchets up a level. And I think it did for Kansas. They defended well, and they were plus 10 on the glass. Trey White, Flory Badunga, and Bryson Tiller each had 9 rebounds. That's team right there. Badunga had 18 points, 8 of 15 from the field. He got hooked early in the game. I watched the early portion of the game live. Badunga got pulled before the first media timeout, before the under 16. Bill Self was making a point. And from that point forward, Badunga was the best player on the court. As soon as he went back in the game, message received. That was big. That was big. He was the star man for KU. And if they can win on a night where he has to be the star, that's encouraging. Bryson Tiller, really good game for him, 17 points, 9 boards. Trey White, 16 points, 9 boards. Melvin Council, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Jaden Dawson hurt himself dunking in warmups, only played 5 minutes. So KU is going to be down to Elmarco Jackson and Jamari McDowell really off their bench. Like, those are the only guys who played meaningful minutes off the bench tonight. Jamari McDowell played 18 minutes. So they're going to be shorthanded. They got Syracuse tomorrow, and we'll see what it looks like. But again, encouraged by the rebounding effort in particular. Shots just aren't falling yet. The Cole Rosario only took one shot in 19 minutes. You got to have a little more activity. If you're going to start, Cole Rosario got to do more than take one shot and have one assist and pick up 3 fouls. What that looks like in the box score is that looks like cardio. That looks like you got your cardio in. Any more from him if he's going to continue to start. K-State basketball, it's old news. They play tomorrow against Indiana, but I did have a thought on their loss to Nebraska, 1-point loss. I know some fans were upset about the whistle that Nebraska got with about a second left that allowed them to make the game-winning free throw. But I don't know, box out. Box out the little guy. Box out the coach's kid. And you don't have that problem. It was kind of a soft foul, but there was contact, and sometimes when there's contact, the whistle gets blown. Sometimes when there's contact, the whistle doesn't get blown. And K-State felt like there were a lot of instances where that was the case on PJ Haggerty in the second half. Though it should be said, Haggerty is hunting for the whistle. And sometimes when the officials can see you're hunting for it, they don't want to reward it. It's a new rule in college basketball this year. It looks more like the NBA game where you get that continuation through the shot, through the basket on the contact. And I think that's a net positive rule change for college basketball, but it also is going to lead to guys who are, hunting for a trip to the free throw line. Going to be a little bit more grifting going on in college basketball. And PJ Haggerty's really good at it. He knows how to control his body. He knows how to use space and lack thereof to create contact on his way to the basket. And he's an excellent free throw shooter. So, I get what Haggerty is doing, but at some point the officials, they might not respect the grift every time. So you're going to have to go straight up with it and put the ball in the basket instead of hoping for the 2 free throws. And I think there were a couple of possessions down the stretch where Haggerty and K-State got burned by that. They were intending to get fouled rather than intending to score. And every possession is valuable in a game you lose by 1. Or 2. Yeah, 1. It ended up being 1 because of the intentional missed free throw. But hell of a game, though. Great tournament caliber game. Great crowd. Great basketball game. And a good test. A good test for that K-State team. They'll be better for that experience. All right, one more break. We'll come back with a final word. Wrap things up after this. Wrapping up, walking off this edition of 580 Sports Talk. We've got one more for you this week. Brendan and Spencer will have you tomorrow from 3 until 6. Then we're going to take Wednesday off. Thursday and Friday, there will be conflicts. Chiefs football Thursday. the 1A state championship football game on Friday. Rossville taking on Sterling right here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. We'll be back to regular service with you Monday through Friday. That also means I am out for the rest of the week. So I'll use the first part of my final word to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving. Hope it's a great holiday. Hope that if you are traveling, you are able to travel safely to and from your destination, that if you're having to fly, that you have a good flight that is not delayed too much, and that nobody gives you too hard a time for not wearing a suit and tie onto the airplane. That's a thing now in our discourse. We live in strange times. Anyway, the other part of my final word is this. The heart of the champion is real. It is a real phenomenon. We saw it from the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. We saw a championship response, championship mettle, championship toughness, championship poise. Every reason to believe that this team has the ability to summon a rally in the second half of this season, to make the postseason, to be a tough out in the postseason. They are deeply flawed. And the truth is they've been flawed the last 3 years. And you haven't noticed because they've been too busy going to 3 straight Super Bowls and winning 2 of them. But they are flawed. They are flawed. The running back room is flawed. They commit a lot of penalties. Don't make enough plays on defense. Didn't force a turnover. They were -2 in the turnover department yesterday. They're a flawed football team. Maybe they're a bit stale in spots. Maybe there are some spots they could use a reboot or a refresh. But as long as they've got the heart of the champion and the best quarterback in the game, you can never count them out. And the Colts learned that the hard way on Sunday. That'll do it for me. We're back tomorrow from 3 to 6, but not me. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. My name's Dan Lucero, and this was 580 Sports Talk. Good night!